If 2025 was a year that cracked you wide open and felt like one long, slow, painful unraveling, this is how you can make sure that that all wasn't for nothing when it comes to the growth of your business. So, we are not talking today about silver linings, and we are not bypassing the hard shit with gratitude or pretending that your breakdown was some kind of breakthrough. Okay, this is about actually transmuting what cracked you open into something that your business can grow from. Now, I have experienced this at such depth. And what I wanted to share with you today is coming not only from lessons that I have learned from years previous, but from the lessons that I learned and the way that I actually took the experience of my nervous system breakdown this year, the one that landed me agoraphobic, unable to leave my house, in chronic panic disorder all day long. Take what I learned from that in two very, very specific areas and use that to grow my business and also make my business more bulletproof for next time. Hopefully, not a nervous breakdown, but a human experience next time something happens. Okay, what this actually has done is made me and my business stronger. And I also don't mean by you taking the pain that you've experienced and then suddenly changing your niche to niche down into helping people with that specific thing. No, we are going to look at two very, very specific areas of your business that you can grow once you have shed. Okay. So, what I have built since I have been through this experience is honestly the most honest and sustainable and clean version of my business yet, and the most authentic, fuck yes version of me yet as well. So, welcome if you are a high functioning woman who is still trying to lead through the debris of a rebirth, because that is a challenging place to be. And trying to run your business at the same time. This is your conversation. Okay. This is the kind of work that I help people with. So I want you to think about this. Think about this year not breaking you, but actually revealing you. Okay. So you probably don't need to reinvent your whole business. But what I do want you to look at is, am I still running it from the woman who had to survive it? Okay. So when we think about the way that we are running our business and we think about who we were through our challenge, you get to now look at that identity. You get to look at the version of you who went through that really challenging experience. And then you get to decide or see or notice what part of you had to die during that experience. Why were you gifted that challenge? Notice I use those words very intentionally, and I do that with my own healing as well. I was gifted that challenge. That whole year, probably longer than that really, but that whole year of challenge was a gift. And I get to sit back now, not fully on the other side, but coming out of the crap, and look back and go, wow, I can really, really see that those parts of me that were leading the show, but that also came to the surface during this challenge, they actually had to go. They had to go for my life to change. They had to go for my business to grow. They had to go for that next level version of me to come through. And that's the first thing that I want you to look at. I want you to reflect back on, even if you're not fully on the other side of it. You will have noticed, I'm sure, if you've been getting support with a therapist, with an alternative therapist, with a mentor, if you've been getting support, you will have noticed what identities have been coming forward, what parts of you have been leading, what purpose they held. I want you to know that there is now a choice as you start to move forward. So you start to look at things like, instead of what do I need to create now, I want you to ask, who does this next step actually require me to become? Because once you have been able to allow the detachment, the cord cutting, the emotional healing, the identity death of the part of you that was leading you through that challenge and that sometimes arose up through. So there were so many survival parts of me that arose up through my challenge, through this year. And I could see how every time I had had a certain challenge over the last couple of years, that part was coming forward and taking the lead. So now actually, and all of this, by the way, my personal challenge, nothing to do with my business, except for the fact that I was running my business from a survival identity because of what was going on. And so now I get to look at that and I go, okay, this part of me, every time I came to these challenges, it was the same person coming forward leading it. This time I've done it differently. That is why I'm able to start to come out the other side, but that is why I'm able now to really look at, well, who does this year require me to become? But I didn't bypass the survival identity. I haven't just gone, oh, I'm just going to choose to be someone else. I've been in the deepest, darkest shit, painful, unbecoming, painful identity death, painful detachment from so many different areas of my life that were like concreting me to the ground. So who does this year require me to become? And what am I no longer available to carry? These are the two things that I want you to start looking at in terms of your identity. What you shed, I believe, matters more than what you actually start next. Because, and if you think about the frequency first diagnostic that have I shared it with you guys? I know I spoke about it a few weeks ago. Oh, I might need to do a whole episode on that. If you think about our frequency first diagnostic, we need to actually recalibrate first. That's the first piece of the strategy. Because if you try to build your next level from the identity of the woman who cracked, from the identity of the woman who's always faced the challenges in the exact same way, then your business will feel like it's about to collapse again, and it may even collapse through that. So most high-level women, I believe, will pivot too quickly. And I know that that is really rich coming from a manifesting generator. But what they will do is change their offer and change their content, and they'll change their team. And as they're doing this and they're still not getting the results that they want in their business, they haven't actually considered that they're not updating the identity behind it. Okay, so it's still feeling heavy. It's still not clicking. You're still self-sabotaging. You're still getting to those income ceilings. You're still attracting the same kinds of patterns into your life. You're still saying yes when you mean no. You're still not holding the boundaries. You're still having income come in dribs and drabs, or you know, what do they call it? Feast or famine cycles. You still want spaciousness in your business, but you genuinely sabotage yourself every time you try and slow down. I know some of my mentees this year, they have been forced into slowness, forced into spaciousness, forced into this by physical injury because they had to break patterns of choosing to slow down and knowing that everything is going to be okay, to have that spacious business that they say that they want. So what patterns surfaced for you this year? Was it hyper independence, emotional outsourcing, urgency? And did you notice them? And have you actually dealt with them? Or did you just kind of press pause, shove it in the cupboard? So when your identity is calibrated, your business will become a byproduct of you. It will reflect the internal frequency that you are holding. So let's think now about our strategy, because this is the second thing that I want you to really look at. So the first thing from your challenge is looking at who was I during that challenge and who did I need to become to get out the other side. Okay, and making sure that then we are now leading our business from that person. Okay, from that mindset, from those beliefs. And if that is something that feels impossible for you, or you can't see it, or you're struggling with that emotional healing part, I have a 10-week private container that will hold you through that. And we will use hypnosis, and we will use EFT, and we will have multiple conversations, and I will mirror to you what is happening so that you can find safety in a new part to take the lead. So the second thing we are looking at is your strategy. Okay, strategy isn't toxic. I know that I preach frequency first, but I also teach strategy. What strategy though can be toxic is misaligned strategy. So if your income dipped this year or you couldn't show up, that is not just a visibility issue. That is a system and structure issue. If your business did not have the infrastructure to hold you when you needed it and then it collapsed, then that is a system and structure, but also probably a little bit of an identity issue too. Do I believe that I am ready to put in systems? Am I ready to let go of things? Am I ready to lead from my next level and implement automations and systems and team and other things? So what I want you to look at, this is the second thing we can take away from that challenge, and this is coming from a conversation that I was having in my mastermind a couple of weeks, last week, in our hot seats. And this is around someone talking about, this being a really slow season for them internally. They are struggling, lost their motivation, things are really busy, they've got a job as well, like things are hard right now. And that's okay, because again, we are human, that is life. We are having a human experience. Everything is not always going to be rosy all of the time, and we know that. And so we were talking about what was really dropping off for her in that moment was her content. She's, I just can't think of anything to post. I haven't got the motivation to do it. I don't want to put that kind of energy out to people, feel like I'm posting for the sake of it. And so what I said to her is, what I want you to do right now as you're in this is to observe, okay, what pieces of my business are struggling or dropping off while I'm in this challenge? Because when you do then have that capacity, or maybe you outsource this to someone who knows how to help you with these things, or hire a mentor, come into my 10-week container, let's work 6 months together, come into my mastermind, let us help you. But if this is an opportunity to look at these things and go, okay, well, when things get hard for me, it's content. Okay, so what can I then put in place when I then have the mental capacity, or again, getting someone to help you do that? A system, a process, a content bank, something that is going to help you to actually continue on the things that drop off when you are having a human experience. So if it is your income that has paused, do you need to actually look at your offer suite? If something has happened, if you have been through a challenge, which honestly this year, I don't know much about numerology, but at all, but everyone's talking about 2025 being the year of the snake and the shedding. Every second person is saying 2025 tried to break me. Oops, I just banged my microphone. Me too. Tried to break me too. And it had been climaxing for a very, very, very long time, lucky thing. So if you are looking at this and you think, okay, my income dips when I'm having my human experience, let's look at your offer suite. Okay, let's look at, are your offers leveraged to actually give you space? Do you have backup plans if you cannot? Or do you just not earn any money if you can't turn up to work? And it's fine if that is your business model and you love it. But I just feel like there's a lot of pressure in that. And I personally, when I think about a spacious business model, I think about one like what I have set up over the last few years that actually held me this year, that allowed me to step back, to not be on all the time. This is the first December that I can remember in so long where I'm not feeling like rushed to see all my clients before Christmas or to throw an extra launch in or to get all of these things done before Christmas. I feel so spacious. So this year I was able to have this in out. I was able to go through what I went through this year and my business did not collapse. Did the income grow in the way that I wanted it to and initially planned? No, but that's because I had the space to not launch. But it also didn't die off. And then what I've experienced more recently, then I think about November, I renewed 6 out of 6 of my last year's mastermind mentees. Actually, they're in their third year, 6 out of 6, continuing on for their third year. And then I welcomed another 3 and 2 people into private support. And so now I know that at minimum, my business next year, at minimum, set up in a way that I am leveraging my time, deeply supporting people still. At minimum, my business is turning over 6 figures, at minimum. And I know that because the contracts are signed and the people have started. So we can leverage our systems. And so what I want you to do is look at the breakdown, look at the challenge, look at the time that you were really struggling. And I want you to just really observantly make a list. What dropped off for you? Was it income? Was it content? Was it certain systems and processes? Did your podcast get ignored for 6 months? What dropped off for you? And then that strategically is the thing that you are then going to build out a better system for, or get better help for, or find a way to bulletproof if it's something that has to continue, if you feel like it has to continue, because it's really your business, nothing has to if you don't want it to. Maybe it's offer delivery. You know, there was only one mastermind session that I missed this year. And it was because my daughter had been up vomiting all morning. It was just one of those ones I could not go to. But it was a hot seat call and we had Annalise there. She is my co-coach in that program. And so people were still able to get what it is that they needed. And so I want you to think about the way that you leverage your offers, the way that you've built your business. Does it allow for humanness? Does it allow for space? But get a really good indication of what needs that next level support, that next level system, because you're now thinking like your next level identity, again, by going back and looking at the challenge and using that as data to know where your next focus needs to go. Okay, so you can, again, take these 2 major pieces, the who you were during this experience, looking at what parts of you have died off. Do they still need healing? Do they still need support to feel safe to not be leading your business? And looking at the systems that need to be in place from the parts of your strategy, income, and all of that piece that died off. And if you can then use those 2 learnings and apply those to your business, okay, then you are going to help to future-proof your business through challenges, but you are also going to be able to turn something that was not nice into growth as well. Now, what I want you to remember when you think about this, the power really is in the integration. So not everything needs to be burned down. And I know it feels like that sometimes, but it really does need to be rewired. So you've had this challenging year. Maybe you're still in it. Have you stopped to actually integrate what happened? Or did you just keep going? This, to me, this is the visibility rebirth. This is not a new brand. It's actually an embodiment. It's an embodiment in being seen in your real frequency. So I want you to ask yourself what no longer fits, but you're actually still leading from. What patterns are you tired of repeating in your business? Okay, think inconsistency, people pleasing, scarcity mindset, feast famine cycles, saying yes to people just because, well, it's a scarcity mindset. Yes to people just because you need the money, even though your gut's like, oh, this person's not aligned with my values. What systems would have helped you then that you need to now install? Because this is where you then rebuild from. This is the work that we do inside of my world. I have a whole offer ecosystem designed to help you go from the survival identity through the rebirth and out the other side into the pivot, into the new, into the fuck yes frequency, into the overflow. I have various ways of doing this. We have our visibility rebirth container that I am launching in February. I have 2 amazing deep support private containers, and I have our amazing mastermind, all of which have different ways to support you through this journey. So if this year has cracked you wide open and you are ready to be met in that rebuild, then come and get in the room with me. We can have a conversation about which container, private, mastermind, visibility, rebirth, which one is going to be the best support for you. But let's turn that shitty year, that shitty experience into business growth. So thank you so much for joining me on Resourced this week. I am Jessica Reed, and I will see you all next week. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to Resource with Jessica Reed. If today's episode spoke to you, I'd love for you to share it with another soul-led entrepreneur who is also ready to rise. Make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected, because when you are deeply resourced, you become unstoppable. Until next time, my friend, stay resourced, stay radiant, and trust in the magic that is you.